weeks, but we're back, and we are back to reading Frankenstein, or the Modern Prometheus, by Mary Shelley. This is the Barnes & Noble Classics edition, and it has footnotes that give a better context and clarity for the culture and the world and the references that Shelley makes when she's writing these stories. They were written over 200 years ago, after all. So I may be referencing those notes every now and then during the reading of this. If you haven't been watching my other videos, I'll tell you how I usually do it. I do not read the entire thing. I don't read every word of this. I don't like talking for extended periods of time. I get a scratchy throat. So what I do is I read a couple of chapters. Every now and then I'll read a passage aloud, or I'll offer my thoughts on it. Usually don't go for more than 40 minutes, 45 minutes, something like that. So we left off the last video. Victor was recovering from what seemed like PTSD from having actually created the monster. To give you a little bit of a recap, Victor is about 19 at this point, I think, and he's somehow discovered the secret to creating life artificially. He doesn't share that secret with us because he doesn't want anybody making the same mistakes he did. The story is being told from the perspective of Victor later on in his life, going back and relating the whole story of what happened when he created the creature, and what happened that night was he created the creature, and he was so shocked and so afraid of it that he physically became ill. And the creature disappeared. Victor doesn't know what happened to it, where the creature went. He's away at university, so his family doesn't know what's happened, and his friend Henry Clerville has come to take care of him. Victor's sick, and Henry's taking care of him, and he gets a letter from his adopted sister, who he's low-key in love with. And now that he's feeling better, he's getting ready to go back home, see his family again. And that's where we start in chapter 7. He hasn't gone home just yet. He's at the start of chapter 7. He's gotten a letter from his father letting him know that William is dead. His younger brother. And there's a footnote here that reminds us that William was also the name of Percy and Mary's first son, who was born in January of 1816, before Mary began Frankenstein, and died in 1819 after the novel was published. Authors always seem to put a bit of themselves into their stories. But given that William, Mary's son, hadn't died just yet, it's a grim prophecy. Victor's father tells him that William didn't just die, but that he was murdered. Says that the family was on a walk in the country. And that William ran off on his own. That they couldn't find him. But eventually they did. And that it was, well, I don't want to read it aloud, but it was pretty clear what had happened to him. Elizabeth thinks that it was her fault because she let William wear a valuable miniature of her mother, their mother, and that it was missing when the body was found, so she thinks that that was the motive. Their mother is already dead at this point, and if you missed that in the earlier videos, we talked about that there. His father begs him to come home so that he can help them all heal. On his journey home, he refers to a place in the mountains as the palaces of nature. It's a line from Byron, uh, Childe Harold's Pilgrimage. Mary putting a little shout out to Byron in there. He also talks about the summit of Mount Blanc, which Percy, Mary's husband, wrote about. I wept like a child. Dear mountains, my own beautiful lake, how do you welcome your wanderer? Your summits are clear, the sky and lake are blue and placid. Is this to prognosticate peace, or to mock at my unhappiness? I fear that I shall render myself tedious by dwelling on these preliminary circumstances, but they were days of comparative happiness, and I think of them with pleasure. My country, my beloved country. Who but a native can tell the delight I took in again beholding thy streams, thy mountains, and more than all thy lovely lake? Yet as I drew nearer home, grief and fear again overcame me. Night also closed around, and when I could hardly see the dark mountains, I felt still more gloomily. The picture appeared a vast and dim scene of evil, and I foresaw obscurely that I was destined to become the most wretched of human beings. Alas, I prophesied truly, and failed only in one single circumstance, that in all the misery I imagined and dreaded, I did not conceive the 100th part of the anguish I was destined to endure. He may not have told us how he brought Frankenstein to life, so we certainly don't know for sure if it was lightning in a laboratory like in all the movies. But lightning is certainly a theme in this book, because he describes crossing a lake and seeing the lightnings play on the summit of Mount Blanc in the most beautiful figures. darkness and storm increased every minute, and the thunder burst with a terrific crash over my head. It was echoed from Salive, the Jura, and the Alps of Savoy. Vivid flashes of lightning dazzled my eyes, illuminating the lake, making it appear like a vast sheet of fire. Then for an instant everything seemed of a pitchy darkness, until the eye recovered itself from the preceding flash. The storm, as is often the case in Switzerland, appeared at once in various parts of the heavens. The most violent storm hung exactly north of the town, over that part of the lake which lies between the promontory of Bellerive and the village of Capet. Another storm enlightened Jura with faint flashes, and another darkened and sometimes disclosed the Mole, a peaked mountain to the east of the lake. He's going looking for the place where his father told him that William died at this point. This noble war in the sky elevated my spirits. I clasped my hands and exclaimed aloud, "William, dear angel, this is thy funeral. This is thy dirge." As I said these words, I perceived in the gloom a figure which stole from behind a clump of trees near me. I stood fixed, gazing intently. I could not be mistaken. A flash of lightning illuminated the object, and discovered its shape plainly to me. Its gigantic stature and the deformity of its aspect, more hideous than belongs to humanity, instantly informed me that it was the wretch, the filthy demon to whom I had given life. What did he there? Could he be, I shuddered at the conception, the murderer of my brother? No sooner did that idea cross my imagination than I became convinced of its truth. My teeth chattered, and I was forced to lean against a tree for support. The figure passed me quickly, and I lost it in the gloom. Nothing in human shape could have destroyed that fair child. He was the murderer. I could not doubt it. The mere presence of the idea was an irresistible proof of the fact. I thought of pursuing the devil, but it would have been in vain, for another flash discovered him to me, hanging among the rocks of the nearly perpendicular ascent of Mount Salive, the hill that bounds Plainplas on the south. He soon reached the summit and disappeared. I remained motionless. It's interesting to think of the time skips that she takes with the storytelling, because it says here that it's now been 2 years almost since he first brought the creature to life. He spent a long time recovering from this illness. A long time before returning home. He's got to be in his early 20s now. And the creature only a couple of years old, or a couple of years since returning to life, however you want to put it. the morning, he returns home. Planning to, or wondering, rather, what to tell people about what he suspects about the creature and about whether the creature killed his brother. He knows how crazy it would sound to actually tell anyone. He says it's been 6 years since he first went off to school. That would make him like 23, I guess. That age, 6 years is may as well be half a lifetime. And certainly for somebody like Victor, who's gone through so much in the last few years. The first person to, the first person he sees is his other brother Ernest, who tells him that the murderer has been caught, but Victor is still convinced at this point that the creature killed William, so. And since he just saw him last night, he does not believe that they have the person. They think it's someone named Justine Moretz. Apparently, she was sick at the time, and that one of the servants in her home found the picture that William had had. But she was too confused to say how she got it, so they took that as evidence that she'd killed him. And Victor says that he's convinced that she's innocent because he knows who the murderer is. And that's when his father comes in the room. Justine's going to be tried that very day. Justice is swift, if not, if not accurate. Victor seems convinced that no human being could be so evil as to actually kill someone like William. And then Elizabeth comes in, and apparently 6 years has matured her. She and Victor are both equally convinced of Justine's innocence, and both, well, the whole family is hoping that it can be proven. That's all for chapter 7. Normally I'd go on, but I think that's enough for right now. There's a lot going on in this chapter. And I think there's going to be a lot more going on in the pages ahead. We've got, let's see. We've got 24 chapters in total, so quite a few more to go. I think this is enough for today, though. Thank you for watching. There will be links to my own books. These are the Trials of Seven Fell. It's my own original fiction, an epic fantasy series. And I also have links to my other social media and to my website, of course. And thank you for watching. We'll get into Chapter 8 later on. Hope to see you then.